Hi everyone, here Tommy Walker, the mind engineer, how to start changing negative behaviors, and it's not the way as most people are teaching us. Sorry, I just started with mute, so I didn't realize that you guys were not being able to hear me. So let's start with today's talk about how to start making changes, and it's not the way how most people teach. So, how does most people teach how to start making changes? They do it by forcing themselves to stop something. So, if they're procrastinating, they force themselves to do something. If they are doing something they want to stop, they try to force themselves to stop doing what they're doing. But unfortunately, most people are not being able to make changes. Share with me and with a group in a chat, yes or no, if you have tried beating yourself up, judging yourself to try to make changes and nothing seems to work. And I know the answer for most people is that, well, they've tried, they beat themselves up, they judge themselves, they bring the inner critic, I need to stop this, or I need to start doing this. It's not working. And the truth is, it's not working because most people don't understand how the mind works. So let me break it down in a very easy formula so that you can understand what's going on in the mind and what is holding you back. So one of the things is to understand that every adaptation, every behavior starts from a place of not feeling loved and validated or loved and accepted. So imagine as kids, we had a bad grade or we did something that our parents didn't like. Most of the times we got judged, criticized, and rejected. So for that little kid, that felt as very painful. So that kid says into his head, hey, this was very painful. I'm going to try to avoid feeling like this again. So because of a lack of love and acceptance, it created a behavior to try to protect himself from feeling the pain that it felt in the first place for not feeling love and acceptance. So far, so good. Type a 1 in the chat if this is making sense a little bit. Why do we start adaptations or the so-called negative behaviors? It has to do with this of, protecting ourselves. So I don't feel love and accepted, so I need to protect myself from feeling that pain again. So I create a behavior. An idea is, perfect example is procrastination. Procrastination comes when we didn't feel love and accepted when we did something. So the mind says, you know what, I'm going to protect you from feeling that again. I'm not going to let you do anything. So the mind goes into protective mode and creates procrastination. So procrastination is not the problem, it's the symptom of something deeper. So what do normally people do? They beat themselves up for procrastinating. So when people are procrastinating, they beat themselves up to try to stop the procrastination. So what they're doing is they're creating more pain. So remember, the procrastination came from a lack of love and acceptance. Now you're not loving and you're not accepting the part of you that is procrastinating. So as you're not loving and accepting the part of you, you're creating more pain. As you're creating more pain, you're going to create more of what you don't want. Yes, hear that again. You're going to create more of what you don't want. So whenever you want to try to change something, instead of beating yourself up to try to change, the idea is to love and accept what is. Love and accept the part of you that is procrastinating. Love and accept the part of you that is smoking, drinking, eating, whatever it is, a part of you that has creating an adaptation to try to numb the pain of the lack of love or seeking for love and acceptance. And an example is people pleasing. People pleasing is seeking for love and acceptance. The other day I was talking to a guy that he wants to be very famous, he wants to be well known, he wants to be great at something. And most of his intention is coming because he wants to feel loved and accepted. So the intention is a negative one. Why? It's a negative intention. You could say, but Tommy, there's nothing wrong with trying to be famous, trying to be good, trying to be good at something. Yes, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're coming into that from a place of I'm not good enough, from a place of I'm inadequate, I'm a failure, the intention is trying to cover up a belief that you have in your head about yourself. So if your premise is I'm not good enough, so I want to prove to the world that I'm good enough, For most people, for most, not everyone, for most people, it's not going to work. Why? Because the mind is going to keep you stuck, not to try something, maybe fail at it, and feel so bad about yourself because you're confirming, quote unquote, big quotes, you're confirming that you're not good enough. Yes, listen to that again. If you're trying to prove to the world that you're good enough and you do something, maybe it's the first time, maybe the second, the third, maybe you haven't done that for a while, you've never done it, or you don't have enough experience, there's a high chance, high percentage that you're going to do it wrong. You're not going to be able to do it the right way or the most effective way. So then the mind uses that to prove to yourself that you're a failure. So instead of going through that pain again, the mind creates a protective mechanism: procrastination, postponing, self doubt, or any other variation to try to protect you from confirming that you're not good enough. So, what we need to start doing is diving into the mind to find those limiting, negative, and false beliefs, the belief system that we have created that now created behaviors to try to protect us from confirming those beliefs that we have already in our head. But people tell me, but Tommy, if I do and I do wrong, I'm going to feel so crappy, right? Okay, I get that part. But if I don't do, I also feel very crappy. And I tell them, yes, it is true. But what is going to hurt more? Is it going to hurt more when you do and it doesn't go as expected, or when you don't do and you beat yourself up? For most people, it's going to hurt less not to do. So the mind is looking for the less pain. So more pain would be trying and confirming and not doing correctly. You give your best and it didn't go well. It's so painful because it reminds you of different events from your past that you were not able to perform to the level that you were expected, and you didn't get the love and acceptance that you needed. It was so freaking painful that you don't want to go through that again. So the mind creates a protective mechanism, barriers. So again, listen to this. Beating that part of you up to stop that behavior, whether it is doing or not doing, is only creating more pain. The more pain you create, the more you are going to reinforce the behavior that you're trying to change. So it's not about changing behavior, although I use the word how to start changing negative behaviors. It's about loving and accepting the part of you that didn't feel loved and accepted as a kid or growing up, and is still looking for that validation from the outside. Because again, when we start understanding how the mind works, we're able to start making changes. If we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep getting the same results. So again, the behavior is a symptom. It's not the problem. Most people focus on the behavior as if it's the problem. The behavior is just telling you that there is a part of you that doesn't feel loved and accepted. So I just need to go find that part of me, the memory that is running in the back of my head from some past events that I might have not felt loved and accepted. And the mind is still reliving that as if it were happening now. And it's trying to protect me from feeling that again. So although people start trying to convince themselves that, oh, it's okay to make mistakes, it's fine to make mistakes, there's nothing bad with making mistakes, and they keep telling themselves that, how many of them, they still struggle with the negative behaviors that are holding them back? Then more than negative behaviors are protective mechanisms. Most people, they still struggle because they're trying to override something that is trying to protect them. And you know what? The chances of overriding that are very slim. So now that you start understanding that the problem that you see as a problem is more the solution to a deeper problem, it is just showing you a symptom of something that is deeper, the lack of self-love that you need to start practicing. So the more you focus on trying to change, trying to get rid of something, fighting yourself for different behaviors, you're going to create more of that behavior. Yes, you're going to create more. So I imagine that you're listening because you want to really start making changes in those behaviors. Well, instead of trying to focus on changing, try to focus on loving and accepting that they're there for a reason, and they're trying to protect you from something deeper. Find the deeper cause, work on healing on the past, and you'll see how you're able to start making changes by dissolving those behaviors. You're not going to need those behaviors anymore. You're not going to need procrastination anymore, because you have dealt with the lack of love and acceptance by practicing loving and accepting what is. There's a mentor of mine that he was some time ago was sharing a training online, and he was saying that he was working with a baseball player from the big leagues, right? And this baseball player was really getting frustrated and angry because the end of the season was coming and he wasn't able to hit a home run. And they're being paid big bucks to be able to hit a home run. So this guy, each time he stood by the bat, right, to hit the ball, unfortunately he wasn't able. So although he was beating himself up because he wasn't able, trying to make him to be able to, he wasn't realizing that the same beating was putting him into a state that there were less chances of him hitting the ball, home run. So when he was able to start practicing loving and accepting the fact that he might not be able to hit a home run, to be okay, to be at peace with not hitting a home run, the next time he stood there, he was able to knock the ball out of the game. He did a home run. Why? Because he felt okay. So all the stress, the anxiety, the frustration that he was feeling each time he stood there was creating a tense posture that didn't allow him to really hit the ball correctly. Imagine that taken to any aspects of our life. When we need to perform, we're not able to perform correctly because we have all the stress, this anxiety, this frustration, whatever. And it is because we're telling ourselves a story in the mind. The more you work on understanding what's going on, understanding the stories you're telling yourself, and treating yourself in a more loving way, things start changing. So let me know what you think under here. If you're liking this, if you want more, just subscribe to the channel, where we're going to be sharing more insight and tools to start helping you lead your life and be able to lead others through this process. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoy this. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.